Welcome to the Marina Joy Show, where I serve up tough love and tea every week so you can help your tweens and teens become strong, independent young people, ready to handle whatever life throws at them with confidence. I'm Marina. I homeschooled my 3 daughters for 11 years, right through middle school and high school. So when I tell you I've watched parents on both sides of this issue rescuing too quickly and waiting too long to rescue, I mean it. This episode is pre-recorded, but I am in the comments during the premiere. So drop your questions. Tell me which subject is the hardest for you to know when to step in. I'll respond. Today, I'm answering a question that keeps homeschool parents up at night. Here it is. How much academic struggle is character building versus me being neglectful? My son is really struggling with algebra right now, and I can't tell if I should step in or if this is just part of him learning how to work through hard things. How do I know the difference? So this is a question nobody really wants to ask out loud because it means admitting that sometimes you're not sure if you're doing the right thing. So I'm going to answer it probably not the way you expect, because there's this invisible line between letting your kid work through hard things and letting them drown. And that line moves depending on the kid, the subject, even the day. So how do you know what side you're on? Well, I'm going to give you a 3-step diagnostic so you can tell the difference between productive struggle and neglect. And you'll know exactly what to do come Monday morning when your kid is stuck on a problem. By the end of this episode, you're going to walk away knowing what questions to ask, what to look for, and how to respond. So you don't just have to guess. Let's go. All right, picture this. Your daughter's working on an essay. She's been staring at the blank page for like 20 minutes. She sighs. She erases. She sighs again. Well, you walk past. You see her struggling. Do you stop? Do you help? Do you let her figure it out? Well, then you tell yourself, she needs to learn how to work through hard things. But 3 hours later, she's in tears, the page is still blank, and you're wondering, did I just spend the afternoon watching her drown? Nobody talks about this part. Sometimes we tell ourselves our kid is learning perseverance, but we just don't want to deal with whatever it is they're working through. Let me know in the comments, which subject is the hardest for you to know when to step in versus when to step back? Now, there's 2 camps. Most parents, a lot of homeschool parents, maybe not you, but a lot of homeschool parents fall into one of 2 camps. Camp number one over here, everything should be fun. You know, we came through those elementary school years. They were fun, and we did outings, and we did crafts, and we did life skills, and all of those things, and we tried to make it really fun. And now we're in middle school, and we think, well, everything should be fun. And so if their child is frustrated, they immediately adjust. Maybe they need a new curriculum because this curriculum is boring. Or, well, maybe we just need a break. Maybe I need to make it easier. The problem is that puts the kid in charge. It puts impossible pressure on the parent to somehow make things like algebra enjoyable. And then there's camp number 2. The kid can do the stuff, they just need to push through. Maybe it's like grade level work. They don't want their kid to fall behind, so they keep the standard high even if the child is drowning. Now the problem is, this child over here in camp 2 might not have the foundational skills, and pushing them through on this grade level work without the foundations, that's not character building. It's kind of frustration. Here's what the research shows. Educational psychologist John Hattie found that learning happens just beyond what kids can do independently. And researchers call that the zone of proximal development. Don't worry about the big term. Here's what you need to know. Students need to struggle about 50% of the time. Not 10%, not 90%, half. But that 50% struggle rate only works when the foundational skills are in place. So neither camp gets this right. Camp 1 removes the struggle too quickly, and Camp 2 ignores those foundations. So how do you avoid these extremes? Well, you diagnose what kind of struggle your child is experiencing. I like to call it the swimming pool test. So think about teaching someone to swim. Maybe you took your kids to swim lessons, somebody else taught them to swim, but let's think about being at the pool. So character building struggle is when they're in the water, they're not in the deep end, they can stand, they're above the water, and they're working to coordinate their arms and their breathing, and you're there, or the teacher is there. Now, they might be kind of frustrated because it takes a while to get coordinated. They might swallow some water. They might keep losing their rhythm, but they have what they need. They have what they need. They have that solid footing. You're there, or the teacher is there, and they're building these foundational skills to eventually get it. And before you know it, they're swimming back and forth in the pool. Now, neglect would be throwing them in the deep end and watching them from the deck. You know, you've got a good book. You're like, okay, there you go do the thing. Both of these involve struggle. Both involve discomfort, but only one builds capability. So the difference isn't how hard it is. It's about whether they have the tools to work through it and whether you're available when they need you. Camp 1, those parents, they're rescuing too quickly because watching that struggle, it's uncomfortable. And so they step in at the first sign of difficulty. Camp 2 parents, they rescue, they wait too long because they're exhausted. They convince themselves that their child should be able to do this. So stepping in feels like they're lowering the bar. Sometimes the most neglectful thing you can do is rescue them from every hard moment. And sometimes the most neglectful thing you can do is tell yourself they are learning perseverance. And when they're actually missing those foundational skills because they haven't been taught yet, or they don't understand them yet. So your job is not to remove the struggle. It's to make sure the struggle is building something instead of breaking them down. There are 3 diagnostic questions that will tell you exactly what kind of struggle you're looking at. Question 1, does my child have the foundational skills, or are they missing something fundamental? Super important question. So back to that essay example, the daughter that was struggling with the essay writing, maybe she didn't know what a thesis statement was. So that's not a productive struggle. She's not going to magically figure out what a thesis statement is by staring at the page longer. That is a foundational gap. If she knows what a thesis statement is, but keeps writing vague statements and getting frustrated, that's different. That's the kind of struggle that eventually clicks. You know, she brings it back to you. Oh, it's still too vague. Okay, she knows what to do. You're helping her hone that. That is productive struggle. Question 2, are they avoiding it because it's hard or because they don't know where to start? Now, hard looks like sighing and complaining and taking breaks and taking more breaks. But eventually they realize, oh, I just have to do this. And they work it through. Imperfectly, but they work it through. They struggle through. The I don't know where to start looks like they're staring at the page. They ask the same questions over and over and over. They keep redoing the same problems. Or they just completely shut down. So one of them needs encouragement. The other needs instruction. The third question, am I available when they need me, or am I hoping they figure it out on their own? Now, this does not mean you have to be available every single second. There's something I talk about called office hours. So if you're working from home or you have a wonky schedule, whatever, set specific times when you are 100% available. They can come to you with their questions. Okay, so Camp 1 parents are often too available, and they're hovering, and they're checking every 5 minutes, and they don't give their kid any space to work through the struggle. And Camp 2 parents aren't available enough often. They tell their child, okay, just figure it out. And then they don't check back until 3 days later, and everything's kind of falling apart. So being available doesn't mean hovering. It just means that when they need help, they know they can come to you and get help. And like I said, if you've got those predictable office hours, it makes life significantly easy. Or if you have, say, a dinner time check-in, you have dinner, everybody likes to eat in the evening at some point, and so you have a natural time of day when you're coming together in something you're already doing, and you can set up a little check-in time then. So let me know in the comments, could you build a check-in point or a checkpoint into your day? Those office hours or dinner time check-in or snack time mid-afternoon? What could you do? Here is the formula, step by step, exactly how to diagnose what kind of struggle. So, step 1, you sit down with your kid and you say, walk me through this problem. Show me what you're doing. If they can explain the steps, but they keep making mistakes, that's okay. That's productive struggle. So then you can say, oh, okay, I see what's happening. Keep going. Let me know if you get stuck. Or you can point them in the right direction to find the answer for the thing that's kind of tripping them up, and then they can keep going. If they can't explain the steps or they don't know where to start, that's the gap. And if it's a gap, we don't make them continue to struggle. We back up and we teach those foundational skills, even if it's at a different grade level. And you might say something like, okay, let's back up. I think we need to review, say, long division before you tackle this algebra problem. That is okay. Andrew Pudwa of IEW calls this easy plus 1. So you're aiming for work that's slightly beyond what they can do, not 3 grade levels above where they're at. And when they do, say, 5 problems, but they understand them and they get them correct, that's way better than them trying to do 20 problems and guessing their way through. Step 2, build checkpoints into natural conversation. So this fixes the problem for parents in both camps. Camp 1 parents, now you can step back because you know you have a check-in time. You don't need to hover all day. Camp 2 parents, you're actually going to follow through because, again, you're not telling yourself, oh, I'll check back later and then forget until 3 days later, because you have a checkpoint built into your day. Now, when I say checkpoint, I don't mean interrogation. It's just a normal conversation where you're probing for information and you're saying things like, walk me through what you completed today. And you're asking with that curious tone in your voice, not like, okay, what did you do today? As if you're waiting for them to fail. You're just curious. Okay, what got finished? Again, probing for information. What didn't? Where did you get stuck? And if you have that kind of back and forth and you manage your own emotions related to whatever information they give you with the goal of, okay, we're diagnosing. They're stuck here. I know what to do. I can help them. They're going to keep talking to you about it. They're not going to shut down because you're approaching it with conversationally with curiosity. Okay, step 3. Once you've diagnosed what kind of struggle, then you can respond accordingly. If it's productive struggle, you're going to encourage them to keep going. You're going to say, okay, I see that you're working through this. keep going. You're on the right path. Keep moving forward. If it's this foundational gap, then we need to go back and teach this missing skill. We're not going to make them keep struggling. And if you're not sure, it's back to those curiosity-driven questions. What part is confusing you? It might be like, take your finger and point on the page. Maybe they can't articulate what the problem is. I'm like, point to the problem on the page. Where is it? Let's talk through it. And that's how you can get to the bottom of it. So if a student is missing the foundational concept, it doesn't matter how much they're struggling, they're not going to get it. It's like trying to teach algebra without knowing division, or trying to multiply fractions when you don't even know what a fraction is. It's not productive struggle. It's just confusing and frustrating. So back up, fill the gap, and move forward. So this framework, it doesn't make every hard moment easy. You won't know always exactly what to do, but it gives you a way to diagnose what's happening instead of defaulting to whatever your usual response is. Camp 1 parents, the most neglectful thing you can do is rescue them from every hard moment. If you step in the second they sigh, you're teaching them that discomfort means something is wrong and that somebody else will always fix it. And if you're in Camp 2 over here, the most neglectful thing you can do is tell yourself that they're learning perseverance when they're missing those foundational skills. Your job isn't to remove the struggle, it's to make sure that they're struggling with something that they can actually work through instead of them breaking down. Okay, let's bring it back in to the question, how much academic struggle is character building versus me being neglectful? That question that parents really don't want to ask out loud. It depends on whether they have the tools to work through it, if they have the foundational skills, and you're available when they need you. Then you can let them struggle. That's where the growth happens. But again, if they're missing that fundamental skill set and you're watching from a distance, just hoping they'll figure it out, that's not character building. I'm in the comments right now, so let me know, what is one subject where you're going to use this swimming pool test this week? And if you want more support homeschooling your middle schooler, join the Tween Talk community. You'll find me in your inbox and in a live monthly workshop. The link is in the description and in the pinned comment below. I will be checking comments later too, so if you're finding this video later, please do leave a comment and like and subscribe. I hope to see you next week when I answer another one of your questions with tough love and, of course,